There is a silent war happening inside you, not against the world, not against your enemies, but against your own urges. The urge to procrastinate, the urge to check your phone, the urge to respond emotionally, the urge to quit when things become difficult. Most people believe the solution is discipline through force. Fight the urge, suppress the urge, punish the urge. But here is the strange paradox. The more you fight your mind, the stronger the urge becomes. Because the mind was never designed to be controlled through violence. It was designed to be understood. And once you understand it, you stop fighting yourself. You start mastering yourself. In this video, we are going to explore a powerful psychological shift. How to master your urges without turning your mind into a battlefield. Part 1. The hidden nature of urges. An urge is not your enemy, it is simply a signal. Think about hunger. When your body is hungry, it sends a signal. Eat. Now imagine someone trying to fight hunger through willpower. They yell at themselves, they suppress it, they distract themselves. But the signal only grows louder. Eventually, the body wins. Urges behave the same way. They are signals generated by three internal systems: the survival brain, the emotional brain, the habit brain. And these systems operate far faster than your logical mind. This is why you sometimes do things you promised yourself you wouldn't do. Not because you are weak, but because the urge arrived before logic did. Your brain decided before your awareness caught up. And when people try to solve this through force, they unknowingly create something psychologists call internal resistance. Resistance strengthens the urge. Observation weakens it, which leads us to the first principle of mastering urges. Part 2. The principle of awareness. You cannot control what you are not aware of. Most people only notice an urge after it has already taken control. They realize they are procrastinating after 30 minutes. They realize they are scrolling after an hour. They realize they reacted emotionally after the damage is done. Mastery begins earlier. At the moment the urge first appears, that moment is extremely subtle. A tiny whisper in the mind, a small shift in attention, a quiet feeling that says, just check your phone, just delay this task, just respond emotionally. That whisper is the birth of the urge. And if you catch it there, you gain power. But if you ignore it, the urge grows. Think of urges like waves in the ocean. A small ripple is easy to step over. But if you wait until the wave grows, it knocks you down. So the first skill of self-mastery is simple. Notice the urge early. Do not fight it. Just notice it. Part 3. The psychological trap of suppression. Most people try to defeat urges through suppression. They say things like, I shouldn't feel this. I must resist. I will force myself. But suppression creates an interesting psychological effect. The brain begins obsessing over the thing you are trying to avoid. There is a famous experiment in psychology. Participants were told, do not think about a white bear. For the next few minutes, avoid thinking about it. The result? The white bear appeared in their minds constantly. This is called the ironic process effect. The more you try not to think about something, the more your brain monitors it, and the more it appears. When you try to suppress an urge, your brain becomes hyper-focused on it, which is why resisting temptation often feels exhausting. You're using mental energy to fight something your brain keeps reminding you about. This is why self-control through force rarely works long-term. The brain is not meant to be attacked. It is meant to be guided. Part 4. The technique of urge surfing. Instead of fighting urges, elite performers use a psychological technique called urge surfing. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean. A wave rises. Instead of fighting the wave, you ride it. Urges behave exactly the same way. Every urge follows a predictable pattern. It rises. It peaks. It fades. The average urge lasts between 60 and 90 seconds if you do not act on it. But when people give in, they restart the cycle. Urge surfing works like this. When an urge appears, say to yourself calmly, interesting, an urge is happening. Not my urge, just an urge. Then observe it. Notice how it feels in your body. Maybe tension in the chest, maybe restlessness in the hands, maybe pressure in the mind. Do nothing. Just watch. You will notice something fascinating. The urge begins to fade, because urges feed on reaction. Remove the reaction, and the urge loses power. Part 5. The identity shift. Another reason people struggle with urges is because they attach them to identity. They say things like, I am lazy, I have no discipline, I always fail. But urges do not define identity. They are temporary mental events. A disciplined person still experiences urges. The difference is how they relate to them. Think about a storm. If you believe the storm is the sky, you panic. But if you realize the storm is just passing through the sky, you remain calm. Your mind is the sky. Urges are storms. They pass, but only if you let them. The moment you stop identifying with urges, something powerful happens. You create psychological distance. Instead of being inside the urge, you observe it. And the observer always has more control than the participant. Part 6. Replace force with design. Here is a truth many people overlook. Self-control is not about fighting harder. It is about designing smarter environments. If a person is trying to avoid junk food but keeps it in their house, they are fighting a daily battle. But if the junk food is not there, the battle disappears. Environment shapes behavior far more than willpower does. The same applies to digital distractions. If your phone is next to you while working, you are fighting constant temptation. But if your phone is in another room, the urge weakens dramatically. Elite performers reduce urges by removing triggers. They design their environment to make the right behavior easier, because the brain always chooses the path of least resistance. So instead of fighting urges, redesign the path. Part 7. The power of delay. Another powerful method for mastering urges is something surprisingly simple. Delay the decision. When an urge appears, tell yourself, I will decide in 10 minutes. Not no, just later. This works because urges demand immediate action. They say, do it now, respond now, quit now. But when you delay the decision, the emotional intensity fades. And once the emotion fades, logic returns. You start making decisions from clarity instead of impulse. 10 minutes is often enough to break the cycle, not through force, but through time. Part 8. Build a mind that observes. The ultimate skill behind mastering urges is something ancient philosophers understood long before modern psychology. It is the ability to observe the mind. When you observe your thoughts, emotions, and urges, you realize something profound. You are not your impulses. You are the awareness behind them. This awareness is calm, stable, unaffected. And the more you practice observing the mind, the more space appears between you and your impulses. That space is where self-mastery lives, because between stimulus and response, there is a gap. Most people react instantly. Masters pause. And in that pause, they choose who they become. Part 9. The long game. Mastering urges is not about winning every battle. It is about understanding the system. Even the most disciplined individuals sometimes give in to urges, but they do not interpret it as failure. They interpret it as feedback. What triggered the urge? What environment allowed it? What emotional state amplified it? Every urge becomes a lesson. Over time, those lessons build self-awareness, and self-awareness becomes self-control. Not through struggle, but through understanding. There is a version of you that reacts to every urge, a version that scrolls when bored, quits when things get uncomfortable, speaks when silence would be wiser. But there is another version of you, the observer, the strategist, the one who sees the urge rise and lets it pass. Not through force, not through punishment, but through awareness. Because the highest level of discipline is not aggression toward yourself. It is alignment with yourself. You stop fighting your mind. You start understanding it. And the moment you do, you realize something powerful. You were never meant to conquer yourself. You were meant to master yourself.